You will never get nothing through a vote. You have never got nothing through a vote. Everything you got, you paid a blood tax for it. You paid a blood tax to get out of slavery. You paid a blood tax to end segregation. You paid a blood tax to desegregate the public schools. You paid a blood tax to get out of Jim Crow. And you will always pay a blood tax for anything that you want. Voting has never changed nothing for Black people, and it never will. The John Lewis Voting Act. I thought the 14th Amendment, if the 14th Amendment applies to Black people, if the 14th Amendment applies to Black people, if the 14th Amendment applies to Black people, why did you need a Voting Rights Act in 65? Why did you need a Civil Rights Bill in 64? Why do you need a John Lewis Voting Rights Act in 2022? And why do you need a Freedom to Vote Act in 2022? See, you can't have it both ways. You can't have it both ways. America can't have it both ways. Either the 14th Amendment applies to Black people, or the Dred Scott case applies to Black people. Which one? It can't be both. Because according to constitutional lawyers, according to constitutional scholars, the 14th Amendment automatically rendered impotent the Dred Scott decision. So if the 14th Amendment automatically outlawed the Dred Scott decision, why do you have to pass special acts for Black people? So I ask you, President Biden, I ask you, U.S. Supreme Court, I ask you, U.S. Congress, which rule governs the African in America? It's either the 14th Amendment or the Dred Scott decision. It's either the 14th Amendment or the Dred Scott decision, but you can't say both, because those two cannot coexist at the same time for Black people. Either the Dred Scott decision applies to Black people, or the 14th Amendment applies to Black people. The Dred Scott decision says Black people have no rights. The Dred Scott decision says Black people have no rights that the white man must respect. Black people have no rights that the white man must respect. Chief Justice Roger B. Taney, who rendered the Dred Scott decision, also said that any law that contradicts the intent of the slave-holding white supremacist founding fathers of America, Chief Justice Roger Taney, who handed down the Dred Scott case, said that any law that contradicts the intent of the slave-holding racist founding fathers of the United States, any law that contradicts the intent of the founding fathers of the United States is automatically null and void. He said that when the Constitution of the United States was written, it did not intend to ever treat Black people or as citizens. I'm going to say it again. Chief Justice Roger B. Taney of the U.S. Supreme Court in Dred Scott 1857 said, the Constitution, the founding fathers never intended Black people to be considered citizens of this country, and therefore, George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Rush, Alexander Hamilton, they never intended Black people to be citizens of this country. And according to Supreme Court Justice Roger B. Taney, we have no rights that the white man has to respect. And that would explain why you need a civil rights bill. That would explain why you need a school desegregation. That would explain why you need a Voting Rights Act. That would explain why you need a John Lewis Voting Rights Act. So I asked Biden and I asked the Supreme Court, Miss Ketanji Brown Jackson and Clarence Thomas, Miss Ketanji Brown Jackson and Clarence Thomas, which one is it? Does the 14th Amendment protect African people? Or does the Dred Scott decision, is the Dred Scott decision still valid? It can't be both. Because if the 14th Amendment applies to black people, why do we need extra bills? If the 14th Amendment applies to black people, why do we need extra bills and laws? The 14th Amendment says equal protection. So if we have equal protection, why do you need the John Lewis Voting Rights Act? Why do you need the John Lewis Voting Rights Act? Do y'all get my point? Either we're citizens or we're not. I already know the answer to that. We are not. I already know the answer to that. We are not. Okay? Because if you were a citizen of these United States, the United States Army could not target you, okay, as a subversive community. The U.S. military is designed to fight non-citizens. The U.S. military is not designed to police its own citizens. So the mere fact that the U.S. Army intelligence spied and undermined the most honorable Marcus Garvey, the fact that the U.S. Army Office of Intelligence spied on the most honorable Marcus Garvey and helped undermine him. The U.S. Army Office of Intelligence, Military Information Department, spied on Booker T. Washington at Tuskegee. Robert Moulton, Booker T's vice principal, was a member of the Military Intelligence Department of the U.S. Army, sent to Tuskegee to spy on Booker T. U.S. Army intelligence helped set up Dr. King's murder. So you got to understand something. Before J. Edgar Hoover took over the FBI in 1924, before J. Edgar Hoover took over the FBI in 1924, and it was not FBI, it was Department of Justice, Bureau of Information, Department of Justice, Bureau of Investigation. Then it became the FBI. But before the FBI became what it is today, the U.S. Army Office of Intelligence, Military Information Department, they were the original FBI. The U.S. Army was the original FBI. That's why the backup shooters for Dr. King's murder, the backup shooters for Dr. King's murder were 8 Green Beret Army officers. 8 Green Beret Army officers were the backup killers on April 4th, 1968, Memphis, Tennessee, Divine Lorraine Hotel. If the FBI failed, the U.S. Army would step in. If the FBI failed, the U.S. Army would step in. And to my NAACP members, to my NAACP members, to my NAACP members, I hate to tell you this. I know it's going to hurt your heart. To my NAACP members, I hate to say this because I know it's going to hurt you. But Joel Spingarn, who was chair of the NAACP, for whom the most important award in the history of the NAACP is named the Spingarn Medal. Joel Spingarn, guess what? Joel Spingarn was an officer in the Military Information Department of the U.S. Army, and his job was to spy on black leaders, black churches, and black organizations while he was the chair of the NAACP. If you think I'm lying, do your own research. If you think I'm lying, do your own research. If you think I'm lying, do Do your own research. I'm going to say it again. Joel Spingarn of the NAACP, a white man who was the most powerful and influential chair of the NAACP in the history of the organization. The Spingarn Medal is named after him. The Spingarn Medal is named after him. Joel Spingarn was an agent and an officer in the U.S. Army's Military Information Department, and his job was to spy on black organizations, black churches, and black leaders. And he gave the U.S. Army information about the black leaders who belong to the NAACP. If you think I'm wrong, do your research. If you think I'm wrong, do your research. The NAACP is a front organization for the U.S. military and the Rockefellers. I said the NAACP is a front organization for the U.S. military and the Rockefellers. I said the NAACP is a front organization for the U.S. military and the Rockefellers. For my Pan-Africanists out there, for my Pan-African socialists, I know this is going to hurt your heart. For my Pan-African socialists, what I'm about to say is going to hurt your heart. But Dr. W.E.B. Du Bois, Dr. W.E.B. Du Bois, Dr. W.E.B. Du Bois, one of the greatest black scholars in modern history, the modern father of the study of black sociology, the father of Pan-African socialism, according to the evidence, it is highly likely, according to the evidence, it is highly likely, but not conclusive, that W.E.B. Du Bois was also an agent under Joel Spingarn for the Military Information Division of the U.S. Army. That's right. That's right, Pan-African socialists. That's right, Pan-African socialists. That's why I'm a Pan-African nationalist. That's why I'm a Pan-African nationalist. That's why W.E.B. Du Bois, according to the evidence, it's not 100% conclusive, but W.E.B. Du Bois, according to the evidence, was also an agent for the Military Information Department of the U.S. Army. And now you know why. Now you know why the U.S. Department of State sent Du Bois to Liberia to disrupt Marcus Garvey's nation-building program. Now you know why the U.S. Department of State sent W.E.B. Du Bois to Liberia to disrupt Marcus Garvey's nation-building program. Now you know why the U.S. Department of State sent W.E.B. Du Bois to Liberia to disrupt Marcus Garvey's nation-building program, because W.E.B. Du Bois, like R.R. Moton, like Joel Spingarn, were agents of the Military Information Department of the U.S. Army. And if there's anybody who doubts what I'm saying, May 3rd, 1917, do your research. May 3rd, 1917, do your research. May 3rd, 1917, do your research. On May 3rd, 1917, the Military Information Department, Military Intelligence Department of the U.S. Army created a black spy network. I'm going to say it again. I'm going to say it again. The Black Spy Network of the U.S. Army was formally created on May the 3rd of 1917, 1 year after Marcus Garvey arrived in New York City. Garvey shows up in March of 1916. The most honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey shows up in March of 1916, and on May the 3rd, 1917, the Black Spy Network of the U.S. Army's Military Intelligence Division was created. If you don't believe me, do your research. Nothing I'm telling you, you can't get in the library. Nothing I'm telling you, you can't get from Freedom of Information documentation. We have agents in the black community. We have agents in the black community. The FBI is only part of your problem. The U.S. Army is another part. Who funded and resourced the police departments against the Black Panther and Black Liberation Army? Who funded and resourced the inner city police departments against the Black Liberation Army and the Black Panther Army of the 1960s? It was the U.S. military. The U.S. military, not just the FBI. The U.S. military, not just the FBI, is an enemy of African people. And this is why you've heard your brother say, and this is why you've heard your brother say on so many occasions, if a black organization is funded by the oppressor, I can't be bothered with it. If a black leader is funded by the oppressor, I can't be bothered with it. If a black politician is funded by the oppressor, I can't be bothered with it. If a black church is funded by the oppressor, I can't be bothered with it. That's why the most honorable Marcus Garvey, that's why Mosiah the Great refused to take a penny from another race. Because the hand that pays is the hand that rules. And anybody taking money from non-African sources except for labor under employment, meaning you work a job to get paid, that don't make you no agent. You go to work every day, that don't make you no agent. But if you claim to be about black liberation, if you claim to be about black liberation and you taking money from non-African sources, you are an agent, even though you don't know it. If a black church taking money, you are agent. Black organization taking money, you are agent. Black politician taking money, you an agent. You just don't know it yet. I give you a homework assignment. Go look at the donors to Al Sharpton's National Action Network. Go look at the donations to Al Sharpton's National Action Network. Go look at the donations to Jesse Jackson's Rainbow Coalition. Go look at the donations to the NAACP. Go look at the donations to the Urban League. Follow the money, not the message. Follow the money, not the message. Follow the money, not the message. And that's why. That's why we're about to bring revolution to the U.S. Congress. We're about to bring revolution to the U.S. Congress as the Honorable Right Reverend Bishop Henry McNeil Turner, National Independent Black Political Movement. I want y'all to listen up because I'm about to drop a bomb right now. I want y'all to listen up because I'm about to drop a bomb right now. I want y'all to listen up real close because I'm about to drop a bomb right now. On Tuesday, November the 8th, all 435 House of Representative seats in the U.S. Congress will be up for election. Let me say it again. On Tuesday, November the 8th, we got 8 months to organize. We got 8 months to organize. We got 8 months to organize. On Tuesday, November the 8th, all 435 seats of the House of Representatives will be up for election. The Bishop Turner National Independent Black Political Movement, of which I am national chairman. The Bishop Turner NIBPM, National Independent Black Political Movement, of which I am national chairman, is looking for black men and women who are willing to challenge the incumbent members of the Congressional Black Caucus in your particular U.S. House of Representative congressional area. Is there anybody listening tonight who wants to run to be a U.S. rep for African people in the most powerful European government in the world. I want you to challenge them. I want you to challenge them. I want all 57 members of the Congressional Black Caucus to be challenged by some fresh, new, idealistic, revolutionary young brothers and sisters. What are the requirements to run for Congress? What are the requirements to run for Congress? What are the requirements to run for Congress? You must be 25 years old. You must be 25 years old. You must be 25 years old to run for U.S. Congress. We're not talking about the Senate. We can't win that unless that's Chicago seat. We're not talking about the Senate. We can't win that. Only the Chicago seat. We're talking about the House of Representatives. I need 57 fearless American Africans to register to be on the November 8th ballot for U.S. representative of the U.S. Congress for your neighborhood, for your congressional district. You must be 25 years old. You must have been a citizen for 7 years. You must be 25 years old, and you must have been a citizen for 7 years. There is no educational requirement that I am aware of. There is no educational requirement that I am aware of. There is no educational requirement that I am aware of. 25 years old, a U.S. citizen for 7 years. Yes, you can be a felon. My ex-offenders, you need to get on the ballot. My brothers and sisters who've been locked down, mistreated, oppressed, unemployed, homeless, gentrified, police brutality, you need to get on the November 8th ballot to run for a U.S. House of Representatives seat in your congressional district. I'm serious right now. I'm serious right now. I am dead serious for my immigrant Africans, for my immigrant Africans, for my Puerto Rican Africans. If you identify with your race, and you don't see yourself as any different than the American African, we welcome you too. As long as you're 25 years or older and you've been a U.S. citizen for 7 years, this is a Pan-African thing right now. This is a my Washington, D.C., y'all have a delegate. My Washington, D.C. Africans, y'all have a delegate in the U.S. Congress. Do we need to change your delegate? My U.S. Virgin Islands Africans, y'all have a delegate in the U.S. Congress. Do we need to change that delegate? Follow my instructions real carefully. Follow my instructions real carefully. The process to be registered as an independent candidate, you must be an independent candidate to be part of the Bishop Turner National Independent Black Political Movement. You must be an independent candidate. If you are serious and if you are interested, I want you to send me an email. If you are 25 years of age and you are a citizen for 7 years, and you are not a sellout or a Sambo or a pickaninny or a house Negro, and you are serious about running for a rep seat on the U.S. Congress as part of the Bishop Turner National Independent Black Political Movement, send me an email. The email address is BT for Bishop Turner. The email address is BT for Bishop Turner. The email address is BTNIBPM, Bishop Turner National Independent Black Political Movement at yahoo.com. At yahoo.com. At yahoo.com. That is BTNIBPM at yahoo.com. That is BTNIBPM, 7 letters, Bishop Turner National Independent Black Political Movement, BTNIBPM at yahoo.com. Send me an email. Tell me who you are. What's your background? Why do you want to run? But it is very important that you get on the internet and go to your state election board. You must get on the internet, get on the telephone, and go to your state election board and find out what is the process. Go to your state election board. Every state has a different process to get added to the ballot for congressional elections. Every state has a different process for you to be added to the ballot to run for Congress. Every state has a different process for you to be added to the ballot to run for Congress. Go to your state board of elections and find out what is the process for me to run to be a representative, a U.S. rep for my congressional district on Tuesday, November the 8th of 2022. What is the process for me to be added to the ballot as an independent candidate for my congressional district on Tuesday, November the 8th of 2022? I'm going to email you. You're going to hear from me. Once I choose the people who I think are serious enough, and I hope I can choose all of you. 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 But I'm going to look at you closely. I have an application you're going to fill out. And if you pass my screening process, Dr. Umar will be creating a national platform, a website, and all of the candidates representing the Bishop Turner National Independent Black Political Movement will be advertised, marketed, pushed. I'm going to come to your city and go door to door with you and register Black people. And we're going to go door to door on Tuesday, November the 8th. And we're going to get our people out to the polls to vote in some new revolutionary, courageous Black U.S. reps. It is time for a coup d'etat of the Congressional Black Caucus. It is time for a coup d'etat of the Congressional Black Caucus. It is time for the coup d'etat of the Congressional Black Caucus. Now, let me be clear. This is only one strategy among many. Voting is not a solution. This is only one strategy among many. Voting is not a solution. But if we can replace the Black bourgeoisie of the Congressional Black Caucus, if we can replace the Black bourgeoisie of the Congressional Black Caucus, if we can replace those 57 with a fresh 57, if we can replace those 57 with a fresh 57, we can begin to force the conversations in the U.S. Congress that need to be discussed about Black people, brothers and sisters. We're going to solve our problems ourselves. Now, I understand there may be some members of the Congressional Black Caucus who do a good job. And if that is the case, they can come to me themselves. I understand that there may be members of the Congressional Black Caucus who do a good job. And if that's the case, they can come to me themselves and say, Dr. Umar, y'all don't need to vote me out. I'm doing the work, brother. And this is what I'm doing. I'm willing to hear them out. But other than that, we are about to make history. We are going to politically and legally We are going to politically and legally coup d'etat the Congressional Black Caucus. If you are interested in being a part of the Bishop Turner National Independent Black Political Movement, if you are 25 years old, if you have been a citizen for at least 7 years, international Africans, you are welcome to be a part of us. International Africans, you are welcome to be a part of us.